I've been to two World Cups, and I know that fever, the energy that stops the world, and the flags, the people, the celebration, the singing, the whole world coming together. But this summer, that fever is turning into a cold sweat. Hotels are seeing mass cancellations, they're reducing prices, and as a result, and fans are staying home. And why is that? It's because of the anti-immigrant climate in the US and skyrocketing costs that are making this World Cup feel unwelcome. And today we're looking at why FIFA has been and continues to be in crisis management mode and what that means for the World Cup in the US. So when I previously attended the World Cup, it was I went to the World Cup in South Africa and I went to the World Cup in Brazil. And at the World Cup, it is like 24/7, a 24/7 festival. Let me show you this video. It's a clip that I took at one of the World Cups, and this was probably around 11 p.m. in the streets. Check it out. Like no one sleeps during the World Cup, literally. And you saw flags. I saw a US flag. I saw Argentina. I saw Brazil, and a whole bunch of others. I mean, the whole world comes to the World Cup. And when I was there, I met people from so many different countries, people from Asia. For the very first time, when I went to the World Cup in South Africa, I met someone from Djibouti. It's a very small country, the Horn of Africa. I mean, I met people from all kinds of parts of the world at the World Cup. And right now, this summer, there are there are issues with this World Cup. Let me share this article that talks about what is going on with the World Cup. It's from Business Traveler, and the article goes: U.S. hotels cut summer rates amid weak demand for World Cup bookings. First paragraph is, and I'm not going to read the whole article. I'm just going to skip around. Say hotel prices are down by almost a third in some host cities as international travelers are put off by Trump and high ticket prices. And go down. Says game day hotel prices in key host cities, including Boston, Dallas, New York, and Philadelphia, have dipped around a fifth from their peak late last year, according to data from hospitality and travel analysis company Lighthouse Intelligence. And so I'll skip down to the drop in the rates. As you can see down here, Atlanta's dropped 8%, Boston 21%, and Dallas is the same. Houston just a little bit, it's 5%, and Kansas City just 1%. Los Angeles 12%, Miami 8%, New York 24%. That's a quarter. Philly 19%, San Francisco 18%, and Seattle very slight 3%. And it goes that the drop in average hotel room since December varies significantly between each destination. And New York is seen the largest, and Kansas City is seen the smallest decrease, which is 1%. And then there are, I'll just skip down. There's a part here that says it's also worth noting that while average hotel rates have fallen since their peak in the turn of the year, at the turn of the year, they still remain largely above their typically average outside of a World Cup year. Okay, so the prices are still a little bit higher than the than the normal prices. And then there's a section here that says the promised demand isn't materializing. And there's a part here that says Gianni Infantino, and that's FIFA's FIFA president, the head of sports governing body FIFA, told the 16 host cities in 2024 that they should expect hundreds of thousands of visitors, not just the few lucky ones that have secured tickets, but also many more who will just come to stay close to their team to be part of something special. And this is generally true for the World Cup. When folks go to the World Cup, they just go and you have, I mean, some people just go without tickets and they don't even have tickets. They don't go to the games. They just go to be in those cities, to be in the environment, because, like I said, it is a 24-hour festival. So now, back to the article. Joey Henley of Lighthouse said in March that major events can create the impression that everything will move in the same way. Higher rates, stronger demand, and fuller nights across the calendar. And that is rarely how things play out. And Vijay Dand, Danpan, Dandapani, president of the Hotel Association of New York City, said he could categorically, this section right here, he could categorically say we haven't seen much of a meaningful boost yet. And they have 8 matches, including the final that will be in New York. And then he goes, it's possible we'll get some more demand, but at this point, it's certainly not going to be the cornucopia that FIFA was promising. And so let's continue. Um, So, and then there's a part here, and this is true, says while domestic fans could make up for partially international bookings, they're not nearly as lucrative for hotels. Visitors from overseas tend to book longer stays and spend more than those who've just come from a few states over. True, because people could just drive over into the city. People could, not just that, they might stay with friends. I mean, they're local, and the U.S. has one of the largest traveling fan base, but they usually travel to go see U.S. games. And of course, people who live in the U.S. will go and cheer for the teams, their national teams, in whatever city they're in, but they're not going for weeks. They're not going to stay for weeks like, like we do when we go to World Cups in other countries. Then there's a part here that says to suit traveler worries, FIFA is weighing asking President Trump, who it honored with a FIFA Peace Prize in December, to pause immigration and customs enforcement raids during the 39-day tournament. So, FIFA. Let me keep going. I'll come back to FIFA because they had a tournament in the U.S. last summer. They didn't ask for that, and they actually, in fact, even signs that, like, some of the times FIFA will have in their stadiums anti-racism slogans and things like that in the stadiums. They removed those from the Club World Cup that took place in the U.S. Last year. So anyway, it is interesting that they are considering doing that. Now, the other part is that fans are deterred by high ticket prices. Um, for matches of the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, it says individual match tickets are an estimated 5 to 20 times more expensive than they were for matches of the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, pricing that football supporters Europe has branded a slap in the face. And I got semifinal tickets at the World Cup in Brazil, and they were cheaper than almost every ticket that I've seen so far for the World Cup. So um, again, they are super, super expensive right now. Um, and so, and then there's this part right here that says the fan group says that if a supporter were to follow their team from initial group stage matches to the final, the ticket tickets would cost a minimum of 6,900, nearly 5 times as much as during the previous World Cup, and that's before flights and accommodation. And then the last part here says FIFA itself has canceled bookings, and says adding to the pain for hotels, FIFA itself canceled thousands of hotel rooms it booked teams and their staff, although it hasn't said why. So that's the article, and you can check it out on Business Travel. But basically, the World Cup is too expensive, and the U.S. policies, the ice raise, will deter fans from going. Just imagine any South American teams in the stadiums, African teams and Asian teams going to stadiums. Fans are going to not feel safe going out there and going to these games. That's one thing. And so the immigration policies right now make it very difficult. There is also the visa issues, because there are many countries that are banned, or that have some kind of are not able to get visas to the U.S. currently due to the policies. And so with those policies, that also will stop some of the fans from traveling to the U.S. Then there are all the stories, especially from last year, with people coming from Australia, from even Canada and Europe, getting detained for weeks and for days. And of course, there's a lot of times where a lot less than people, Latino people and Black people, Black and brown people who try to attend, I'm sorry, who were detained in the U.S. So that makes it really, really difficult, and it changes the mood, because again, the World Cup is a global festival. Now, FIFA is a very corrupt organization, and there has been many officials who have either gone to prison or been indicted and are, have evaded justice for a long time. And so the corruption part and FIFA, just the way it operates, that aside, the amount of money that they are charging for a ticket for someone to attend a game after traveling, paying thousands and thousands of dollars in visa processing and traveling, paying for hotels and any travel or transportation cost. Of course, food and other things that they do, including shopping and stuff like that. The prices are so expensive that is also deterring people. The one thing is, I don't think the stadiums are going to be empty, because the US has a very large uh, soccer fan base. If you look at it in the grand scheme of things of sports in America, it doesn't compare to football. It doesn't compare to basketball. It doesn't compare to baseball. Um, but there are millions of fans who are going to want to be in at the games. There might be some stadiums that maybe have empty seats, but I think that part in terms of seats in the stadium, there is a high chance stadiums would not be empty. But the rest of the economic benefits that were supposed to come with the World Cup itself, I see that is not going to um, it's not going to be like it's been at previous World Cups. Um, and the experience is different when you don't have all of those. I mean, like I said, at these other World Cups, people were sleeping in cars. They sleep in these campgrounds. There are like World Cup camping grounds. Um, they don't always have hotels. I I had an adventure. I will share it in a separate video at some point, where I lost my hotel booking the night before the World Cup final in Brazil, and I ended up sleeping in one of Brazil's ghettos. But that's another story for another day. The hotel rooms that night, wherever there were any rooms, the minimum was like $3,500, but that was just 1 or 2 nights. Um, and it was for the final. But now we're talking about the whole tournament here. Um, so let me know what you think. Is this World Cup going to be as successful as the previous World Cups that we've seen? Would you travel for a World Cup right now, or or have the risk become too high? You know, given especially the U.S.'s America's immigration policies. Of course, um, I'm sure you will travel to, some will travel to Mexico and Canada, but the question here is, would you travel for a World Cup game in the US right now? Leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and I will see you in the next video.